Florida is going up against a Tennessee pass defense that's allowing 210 yards per game through the air. That puts Tennessee right at 12th in the SEC as far as where they rank in defensive passing yards allowed. They've given up 3 touchdowns through the air, 4 interceptions, and they've gotten 8 sacks on the quarterback here. But where Tennessee's defense has been their strongest is probably where Florida's offense has been their strongest as well. That's in the rushing game. And Tennessee's defense is number 2 in the SEC, only giving up 54 yards per game. And while Tennessee hasn't played juggernaut teams, right? I think it's Bowling Green, FCS, and Pittsburgh. They've still done what they've needed to do in the running game here, but of course, Florida being their biggest test this weekend. But let's dive into what Emory Jones, Anthony Richardson needs to do against the Tennessee defense. And the latest I've seen, as the recording of this video is going, is that Richardson is supposed to get some playing time this week. So we will see what he's used and if he's a full go. But regardless, let's look at what the Tennessee defense is going to try to do and what Emory Jones probably needs to do against this defense. So we're going to see a lot of times Tennessee will have 6 guys in the box, and I know it's a different offense that Pittsburgh runs in Florida, but still similar personnel, right? So this personnel, we got 2 backs, 1 tight end over here, so that 21 personnel. We see 12 personnel, so we still see some similar personnel, even though it's a different offense that Florida runs, and Florida, of course, will be running a lot more here. So the keys for Emory Jones I want to look for in this video breakdown is be patient and let the plays develop, right? The biggest thing is to avoid turnovers. If he avoids turnovers, and they should be, I don't want to say they should handily win this game, but the chances of them winning handily are much more likely than if turnovers happen. Right now, Emory Jones has 2 passing touchdowns with 5 interceptions. So if he can be patient and let the plays develop, then I think Florida has a much better chance, obviously, of having better success on offense, because I do think Tennessee will do whatever they can to stop the running game and force Emory Jones to pass. So here's just a quick example. Tennessee brings 7 in the box, and you'll see sometimes Tennessee's defenders get lost in the passing game, like the guys kind of covering the same ground here, if you will. So we're going to see Kenny Pickett here from Pittsburgh, just a nice, good play. Boom, good play there. But you see patience, let the play develop, and then is decisive whenever the play does develop, right? There have been times where Jones has let the play develop and then just waits too long. So if Jones is, again, patient, the play develops, and decisive, then I think they could have a good chance at throwing the ball against this Tennessee defense. But let's go ahead and look at a few more clips of Tennessee's defense, and let's look at a few clips of Emory Jones and what he needs to do, and an example of what not to do against this Tennessee defense. So here's a 2nd and 8 for Pittsburgh. Then we see Tennessee's got 2 up top safeties. It's actually going to be a cover 2 here, right? So it's pre-snap look as cover 2, even though we got kind of a press coverage up here, and the same coverage as post-snap. So there wasn't really much of a disguise here. It's a good example of Pickett remaining patient. He completes a good ball here. And like the last play, Tennessee only has 6 in the box. The last play right before the snap happened, they did creep that safety, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see more of the safety creeping in and giving 7 in the box, just because of Florida's running game and them trying to shut down the run game and force Emory Jones to beat them. So if that's the case, then Emory Jones, like we just mentioned in the last clip, being decisive as the play develops would be key. And actually, and if worse comes to worse, take a sack as opposed to forcing anything, right? I think Florida can live with sacks as opposed to interceptions here. So again, it's a good job by Pickett here. Good coverage here, but good job staying patient. We see zone this half, and then this backer coming down to the middle of the field to call that cover 2 Tampa, and the middle of the field is still wide open here. So good job by Pickett recognizing that, and then throwing a good ball there, sitting him down. So an example of being patient, letting the play develop, and when the receiver is about to be open, be decisive and let it rip. Just a good example there of what you want to see Emory Jones do against Tennessee. So here's a little different defensive look Tennessee's showing the last 2 plays. We only got 1 up top safety here. It's going to be cover 1 man under. You still got 6 guys in the box, as we got 4 wide receivers here. So we got 10 personnel, and they're going to bring all 6 here. They get pressure on Pickett, but Pickett actually does a good job just kind of giving his receiver a chance at the bottom of the screen. But just another example of what Tennessee could throw at you. And I don't know if Tennessee will throw much man under, and if they do, I would imagine they would have to have a spy on Emory Jones here, and if for some reason they do not, then that's when Jones will probably end up running a lot, right? But if they give this look here, getting the ball out quick, if they're bringing pressure, again, Jones being decisive, taking care of the ball. But I would imagine Mullen would have some type of adjustment here and do some type of run play where there has to be someone keying in on Emory Jones here. But just another example of what Tennessee could potentially throw here if they have 1 up top safety. It's probably cover 1 man, right? We got press here. So now if this is the case, let's say this is the case, they bring pressure, Jones does not run, just giving your guys a chance to win. and trusting that your receivers can beat the Tennessee DBs here would kind of be the example we're getting at. But again, just showing this clip because it's another example of what Tennessee's defense could do, even though I don't know how much man under they would play, especially with Jones being a threat to run. So here's the last defensive clip that we'll watch of Tennessee. And again, take this off the grain of salt. It's a different offense that Pittsburgh runs compared to Florida, but it's still something which what we have to go off of, right? So we got 11 personnel from Pittsburgh, something that Florida can run potentially, or being that personnel, one running back, one tight end. Tennessee is again having 6 guys in the box, right? So we know we got 5 DBs, and pre-snap look, we got 2 top safeties, right? So that means cover 2, cover 4, but in Tennessee's case, they ran a lot of cover 2. They also will play 1 top safety as well. So this is an example of Tennessee disguising coverage pre-snap and rolling to something post-snap, which I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to do to get Emory Jones kind of confused and try to get a turnover or interception from him. So we're going to see the safety kind of come down here. The safety take the middle of the field. So we can call that cover 1 robber, where they disguise one thing pre-snap, and then they try to bait the quarterback into throwing something. And then we got man under everything else. So this is another cover 1 man under, but you got a robber coming in, taking this away. Good job by Pickett reading that, and then taking what the defense gives you. Boom, nice, good throw. Let the play develop. Be decisive with your throwing there. So an example of Tennessee showing one thing pre-snap, going another thing post-snap. So we've seen cover 2, we've seen cover 1 man under, we've seen cover 1 robber. So there's several different things that Tennessee could throw at Florida, but I think that regardless of what they do, the keys remain the same for Emory Jones. At least be patient, let the plays develop, but be decisive when they do, and then be a threat in the run game, which you know he will. I think if he gets the run game going, that will, of course, open up the passing game, and taking care of the football is, of course, crucial as well. But let's go ahead and look at some clips from Emory Jones as far as things you want to see him do and then what you want him to avoid. So here's Emory Jones on the 2nd and 5 against Alabama. It's just running this little speed option here. Great read by Jones to keep it, get upfield as Bama takes the running back here. So I think getting him going early in the running game, it's very cliche, but getting him going early in the running game, I think will definitely open up pass games. And if a passing game, and if Tennessee does bring 7-ish in the box, like we said they could do, that will force them to probably go back to 6 in the box, helping the pass game open up as well. So just a quick example of what we want to see him do. Just get upfield, get the first down. Good run by Emory Jones there. Again, get going in the run game, open up the passing game. Then, of course, I think that's going to force Tennessee to assign a man to Emory Jones. So here's a pass by Jones, and Bama gets some pressure on him, and Jones rolls out, throws a good ball. But I think it's also a good example of being patient, and the play does develop. He doesn't try to force something right off the bat, right? So he's patient. Pressure comes in. I would even be okay with taking a sack compared to throwing a pick, but he doesn't force it, right? Able to buy time getting outside the pocket. The play does develop and able to pick up a first down here. So even though he's throwing on the run, I still think it's a good example of letting the play develop. And then when the receiver gets open, be decisive, right? Don't hold on the ball too long or wait. Continue to wait. When the receiver's open, be decisive, throw it, let it rip. Just a good example there of Jones doing all those things and throwing on the run. So last clip we'll watch is just an example of what Jones needs to avoid. And again, if you don't have any turnovers against this Tennessee defense, I think Florida should be in a good position. I think the way you keep Tennessee in the game is by turnovers. And we've talked about the 5 interceptions through 3 games. So if there's 0 turnovers, I like Florida's chances to build a good lead and maintain that. So avoid these type of plays here. So we see UCF is kind of an off coverage, and Jones doesn't even see this DB here, right? It's a cover. It looks like probably cover 3. Can't see the full screen, but the corner bails, and then we have kind of curled a flat backer coming out here, doesn't see him, and then coming in. So I think this is an example of, hey, just be patient, right? Be patient, let the play develop, as opposed to going through your read too quickly, but then don't hold on the ball too long either. So just avoid these type of plays. I think Florida's offense will be in a good position. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you think Florida needs to do offensively? What does Emory Jones need to do offensively against this Tennessee defense? Like I've said, I think he needs to be patient, let the play develop, be decisive when it does develop, and then run the ball as well. And I think Florida's offense should be in a good position. But let me know in the comments below. Let me hear from you, and we'll see you next time on the next quarterback-related video.